Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the Curls and Coils page. I'm Shelly,
And I'm Sparkle.
and we're here to discuss Sparkle's whole pregnancy experience. I have so many questions for her, and we figured we'd just share this interview with you guys.
Yes, so I know for both of us, it's been a pretty crazy year for both of us. Like Michelle said, I had a baby last year. This was my first baby, first pregnancy, and I'm just gonna discuss my whole experience. It was an amazing experience, journey, and I'll get right into it. So I just wanted to start off with why I wanted to get pregnant, how I prepped, and my whole journey. So I'm 37, and being 37, it's considered a geriatric pregnancy, and I hate that word, but that's what they called it, and I was pretty much a high risk, basically because my age again, and I had issues with blood pressure. But I just wanted to just start off with where I started. So I was on birth control for like 10 years. I had the IUD. I think I was like at the time about 33 or 34 when I decided, okay, it's time to start a family. So I decided to remove the IUD. I had the copper IUD, the Paragard. It was probably into my 8th or 9th year because it's good for up to 10 years. But by my 8th or 9th year, it had started giving me like issues. For instance, like really bad cramps, and not just during my menstrual cycle, but it was like all through the month. So I was like, oh no, this has got to come out. So that was another reason why I took out the IUD. Probably took me about over a year to finally get pregnant. They said if you're like 35 and over, it should take up to a year to conceive. So it took me a little over a year to finally get pregnant, and I got pregnant around my birthday, which was like a nice gift. But unfortunately, so this was in 2019. But unfortunately, that pregnancy ended up in a miscarriage. So that following month, in April, I had a miscarriage, and I wanted to talk about this experience because I know like many women have gone through this horrible experience, and it's not really talked about. It's not really talked about amongst us. It's kind of like taboo. Like you're not supposed to talk about that. But I think it's very important for women to come together and talk about these issues. But yeah, so I had my first miscarriage in April. So I think I was about maybe like 5 weeks pregnant. I had woken up in the middle of the night with like really bad cramps. I compared it to like period cramps, but to the extreme. And I had started bleeding, so I called my doctor in the morning and I told her that I've been having cramps and I started bleeding. So she told me to go straight to the emergency room. And me and my husband went to the emergency room and they confirmed that I had a miscarriage. So I followed up with my OBGYN to make sure that everything was out. They did all their tests, my blood test, urine test, and they confirmed that, and they did a sonogram to make sure my uterus was, cleaned. So then, and then after that, I think a month after, in June, I got pregnant again, the second time. And unfortunately, that also resulted in a miscarriage. I was a few weeks further along. I think I was about maybe like 6 or 7 weeks in my second miscarriage. So this one was completely different. This miscarriage actually lasted a few weeks, like almost a month. I was pretty much bleeding. So my doctor was like, well, let me go back a little bit. So when I found I was pregnant, I made an appointment to see. I didn't see my actual doctor. I went to see. I went somewhere else because my doctor didn't have an appointment available until like 2 or 3 months. This was in June, so she didn't have an appointment until like August or end September. So I decided to go somewhere else just to get that first prenatal checkup. So me and my husband went for the checkup, and when they were doing the sonogram, the technician didn't really say anything, so that kind of got me nervous. So when the technician, finished doing the sonogram, she sent me to the doctor's office, and when we went there, that's when the doctor confirmed that they didn't find a heartbeat. And that experience was absolutely terrible. Like, the doctor was just quick to say, so what do you want to do? Do you want to come to, because he had another location where they actually do the procedure. It's called a DNC, where they actually go in and clean out the uterus. And I was like, I just need time to process this. Like, and he was already asking me like what I want to do. I'm like, you just told me that my baby doesn't have a heartbeat. Like, I need time to process this. So I took a couple of days to decide what I want to do. If I want to do the DNC or to have my body get rid of the embryo naturally. So I decided to actually go to my OBGYN to get a second opinion, because just to confirm things, because you never know. So I called my OBGYN. So she told me to come in immediately. So in the next couple of days, I went to see my doctor. They performed the same test, the blood test, urine test. They did the sonogram, and they checked my hormones to see if it's elevating, and it was elevating, but not at the pace that they wanted to see. So basically, I had the miscarriage. So they confirmed it, and the doctor said, well, if you want to have the miscarriage naturally, I'll give you like a week or two to see if it'll pass, but if not, you have to come in and do the DNC because you don't want to develop an infection. So at that point, I went to Florida with some family just to, clear my head, and, I was still bleeding at that point. And then when I came back, I went to see my doctor, and my doctor checked me, and she was like, yeah, you're still bleeding, but we're going to have to do the procedure just to make sure everything is completely out. So I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I never had any type of procedure like that. I never been under anesthesia, so that I was like so scared. But I had to do what I had to do because, I don't want to develop any complications. So that was that. I had the procedure done, and it was only like 40 minutes. My mom came with me, and everything was good. I had my follow-up, and she checked everything, and everything was good. So a few months later, I think in November into December, I found out I was pregnant again. So this was my third pregnancy, and they say three's the charm. Three's the charm. So my third pregnancy, went in for my first prenatal for that pregnancy, and actually my husband and my mother came with me for that first appointment. Unfortunately, my husband had missed the appointment because he was outside finding parking, and he missed it. So it was just me and my mom. I thought, usually doctors, they take forever to call you in, but she had called me quick. So I was like calling my husband like, I'm in the exam room. She's about to, do the sonogram. Like, we need to hurry up. And he was still outside trying to find parking, and he completely missed the sonogram. So so as my doctor was doing the sonogram, she was, searching around. She did the vaginal one, not the one that goes over your stomach. She did the vaginal sonogram, because obviously it was, early, and you can't really see anything if you do the abdominal one. So she went and did the vaginal one, and it took her a minute to find the image of the baby and the heartbeat, but she found it. She's like, yeah, there it is. And just hearing that heartbeat, it was like, before she found it, I was just holding my breath, because experiencing 2 miscarriages back to back, it was just like, I'm so scared that this one is going to end up the same way. So she found the heartbeat, and I just started crying. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. So she found the heartbeat, and I was crying. My mom was like consoling me. She's like, it's okay, she found the heartbeat, the baby's good. So so that was good news. I was like thanking God. I'm like, oh, thank God. She found a heartbeat. So she took pictures. I showed my husband the pictures. He's like a little peanut. But the second prenatal visit, he was able to see. So this was all right before COVID hit. He was able to come to the second appointment, and he was able to see the baby. We had to do another sonogram, and he was able to see the baby. But then after that, they weren't allowed. You're not allowed to have other people with you during your appointments. So that kind of sucked. I had to go through to my appointments all by myself. And he didn't get to experience that only that one time. So that kind of sucked. So I think I had more prenatal visits than the average, because I'm high risk. I'm over 35, and I have a history of with issues with blood pressure, so I was automatically considered high risk. So I had a lot of appointments. So I was like in and out of the hospital. But towards the end, I just want to go back to my, the blood pressure issue. So I was keeping track of my blood pressure at home. I have a blood pressure monitor. So I was keeping track of my blood pressure monitor at home. And my blood pressure is fine at home, but when I'm at the doctor's office, it goes through the roof. So I have white coat hypertension. So every time I go there, my blood pressure would be through the roof, and my doctor would be like, why is your blood pressure so high? I'm like, I don't know. It's fine at home, but when I come to see you, it just goes through the roof. So she had me track my blood pressure at home and bring in my logs at every appointment so she could check. So she could see that in the first 2 trimesters, my blood pressure was fine. They say in the second trimester, your blood pressure actually drops. So that pretty much helped. But into my 3rd trimester, I started having issues. Like towards the end, it was like, I think it was in my like 7th month. And I was starting having issues. So when I went to the doctor, they was checking my blood pressure. It was really high. And so she was saying that, well, I'm going to have to send you to antepartum. So that's where they send pregnant women if a woman is having any issues with their pregnancy. So they send me to antepartum just to do additional tests. And they ran all their tests. They checked, they monitored the baby. Everything was fine. So I was going to the doctor like every week, going to antepartum, running all these tests, them sticking me with needles, taking my blood, and everything was fine. And I also saw a specialist that specialized with high-risk pregnancies, and she told me I had to take, baby aspirin, and also had to take obviously diet and exercise, and just to keep it manageable. So I was pretty much in my third trimester. I was going to the doctor like every week. They were checking my blood, checking my urine, just to make sure I haven't developed preeclampsia. So, and preeclampsia can be very dangerous to the baby and the mother. It can result in death. So my doctor was, she was dotting her I's and crossing her T's just to make sure nothing goes wrong with this pregnancy. So my doctor was great. She was very thorough with everything. So, I would say maybe 2 weeks before I gave birth, I was going back and forth to the doctor. They was checking everything. And then that day when I was admitted to the hospital, before that, it was on a Friday. They sent me to Amphitheater, and they, did all their tests, and everything came back fine. And then 2 days later, had a follow-up appointment, had to do a stress test. They took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure is through the roof. And they sent me back to Amphitheater. They did all the same tests, but then this time, that was on a Monday. This time, they saw that my results had came back abnormal and that had developed preeclampsia. So the doctor came in, they told me, they looked at my labs, they showed me what was going on, and it was like, you're gonna have this baby today. And this was Divine, that's my son's name. He's 6 weeks, he came 6 weeks early. So he's a preemie. So that was on a Monday, and I called my husband, I was like, yo, we having a baby today. He was like, what do you mean we having a baby? What do you mean? I was like, yeah, we're having a baby today. Like, they have to take him out because I developed preeclampsia, and they have to take him out before anything happens. So I was in the hospital, so I was like, well, can I go home and like pack my stuff? Because I didn't have anything ready. They was like, no, we can't let you leave, so you're gonna have to have someone and bring over your stuff. So so I called my husband. He came in, he brought all my stuff, and that's when the doctor, she came to see me, and she told me what was going to happen. So we were going to try to have the birth naturally, vaginally. So they gave me medication to make my body to go into labor. But first they had hooked me up with a bunch of IVs because they put me on magnesium because my blood pressure was high. So magnesium actually helps control, stabilize the blood pressure. So I was on a 24-hour magnesium drip. And I had other stuff hooked up to my arm. So I was basically like this on the bed, stuff hooked up on this arm, stuff hooked up on this arm, and I couldn't move because I was hooked up. So, and they had to put a catheter in me. And she knows she'll yeah. If you guys never had a catheter, for me it was just the most painful experience that I've been through. I just wanted to kick the nurse in her face. Yeah. Before she put the catheter in me, she was like, "Oh, you're gonna feel a little discomfort." A little pinch. Yeah, I'm like, so when she went to put the catheter, child, listen. Whew. I wanted to cry. I was holding on to the bed like trying to breathe. It was horrible. It was horrible, guys. It was absolutely horrible. Yeah, so they had to put that in me because obviously, I can't move because I'm hooked up. So once that was over, I was pretty much, set, and I was pretty much bedbound for the whole time. So so that was that Monday, and then they were trying to get me to go into labor up until like I think like Wednesday, and my body was just not responding. They gave me that medication that forced you to go into labor. That didn't do anything. I only went up to 2 centimeters, and then that was that. So my doctor was like, well, we're going to have an emergency C-section. So I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, oh why? So so she explained everything to me, the whole process, and she also told me what can happen, what can go wrong. So she was pretty transparent, so she can prepare me. So I think that that Wednesday night, I was waiting to have my C-section, and it pretty much took them like 25 minutes to prep me. So the nurse, when I was in the room, they they prepped me, and I had a really great care team. The nurse, she was pretty much like holding me and like rubbing my arm, saying it'll be okay, just relax, just to make me feel comfortable, because I was like hella nervous. You got this big needle they're gonna be putting in your bag. It was crazy, but they made me feel comfortable, and yeah, so they put the epidural in, and I don't know, I would say about maybe like 10 minutes. I couldn't feel anything, so they had laid me down, and they put like a sheet in front of me, so all I can see was from here. All I can see from here and up. I couldn't see anything below that. And they brought my husband in, and he sat next to me, and my doctor was like, you need to keep her distracted, just talk to her, have her calm. And that's what my husband did. We were talking about, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but he was just talking to me, trying to take my mind off of what was going on. On the other side of the sheet, they had music playing in the back. So the atmosphere, they try to make it, as comfortable as possible. So next thing I knew, I heard a cry, and I started crying. I was like, oh my God.
That must be the best feeling.
The best feeling in the world. After everything that we had gone through that year, 2 miscarriages back to back, it's like holding your breath for like almost, well, for me, almost 7-8 months, and then it was like that sign of relief. So my doctor, she held him up and showed him to me, and Cornell took a picture, and they cleaned him up, they wrapped him up, and they my husband, he was able to hold him, but I couldn't hold him because I was under so much medication. They wouldn't allow me to even touch him or anything. So they put me in the recovery room, and again, I had issues in the recovery room. My blood pressure had dropped so low. I can't remember how low my blood pressure dropped. It was like, I don't know, 50/60 or something like that. My blood pressure had dropped. So all the doctors and nurses came running in, and they stopped the magnesium drip, and they tried to keep me awake because I was slipping in and out, because they had to keep me awake before I slipped into a coma. So they were like trying to, wake me up and stuff, but then they were able to stabilize my blood pressure. So that was another thing. But yeah, that was also scary. But I think I stayed in the hospital for like almost a week, because I was admitted on Monday, and I was released that Sunday.
Wow.
So I wasn't, yeah. So for births, you're only in the if it's a vaginal birth, you're in the hospital for 2 days. If it's a C-section, it's 3 days. But in my condition, I was in the hospital for like almost a week. So yeah, so the C-section, yeah, it was quite an experience.
So I'm just curious. Oh, yeah. So I'm just curious. Like, how was your C-section recovery once you got home? So, did you leave the hospital yet in your story? Like,
Girl, it felt like someone took a bat and repeatedly hit me in my stomach. That's how it felt. It was the pain of recovering from a C-section is not a joke. Like, I was pretty much like in a hospital, like hunched over like an old lady trying to like walk. But they say walking is good because it helps you recover much faster. So the nurses just made me walk like up and down the hallway. But I was in pain. The nurses gave me what was it, Percocet for the pain.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you want some Percocet? I was like, yes, please give me Percocet, because they was like, how, like, you know, they ask you to rate your pain level. I was like, it's a 10. I need that. Just give me the Percocet. So she was like, you want 1 or 2? I was like, give me 2. That was a mistake. I'm like, yo, I felt so high. I was high. I was like, I did not like that feeling. I don't know why people like that feeling, but for me personally, I did not like that feeling. I was high. I felt like I don't know, like a crackhead or something. I'm like, oh no, this is not, oh no. So I was just like, please let this feeling just go away. So eventually that feeling went away, and then the nurse was like, oh, you want some more Percocet? I was like, hell no, just give me Motrin and I'm good. So, but yeah, the C-section recovery, initially it was really painful, especially like the first few days. It was really bad, but the pain medication really did help. But trying to like shower, like I couldn't girl, let me tell you, I couldn't shower for like 5 days because I was bed bound, and they was like, no, you cannot take a shower. So I was like, Lord, I stink. I need something.
You just want to feel comfortable.
Right, like, imagine not taking a shower for like 5 days. So, but, so all I can do is do like, you know, like a sponge bath. So they brought me like water, and they was like, you can just, you know, just do a sponge bath, and that's all I can do. But eventually my doctor gave me the clear, like, oh, you can do like a quick, you know, shower. You can finally shower, because, you know, when you're all stitched up, they don't want like water or anything to go on a freshly incision wound. So that was another reason why I couldn't shower until they could see that everything, you know, it was looking good. And then my doctor was like, okay, you can shower. So just like even going in the shower, I had to have my husband help me to go into the shower. Like this, I was still in the hospital. So that was like that Friday I was able to shower. So he was helping me like go into the bathroom to shower. And, you know, I had to like hold on to the pole because, you know, I was weak. Yeah. You know, you're hunched over, you know, someone just cut you open. You had a body taken out of your you know, your stomach. So it was hard to, you know, keep myself up for a long period of time. So I had to like really do a quick shower because I couldn't like hold myself up. Even going to the bathroom, that was pretty difficult to try to sit down and, you know,
get into it.
Yes, like I'm holding on to the wall, anything I can hold on to, you know, try to sit down. Just to even bend down to sit was very difficult. But I would say after a week, I was able to walk around and be on my feet for a longer period of time. I was able to cook after a week. But again, I was still pretty much weak. I couldn't, like even like getting in and out of bed was difficult. I had pretty much had to like roll to the side to get, you know, in and out of bed. And, you know, Michelle's gonna tell you in the part 2. But I wish I would have had that thing that you had bought, a step stool. Because that would have helped me get it in and out of bed. It was bad. But the recovery was like after a week I was good after a week. But again, it takes 6 weeks to recovery for C-section as well. It said 6 weeks recovery. So by 6 weeks I was good. But yeah.
So, what could you recommend to the viewers and me? What did you do to prepare your body for this? You knew you were planning to get pregnant, so what did you do?
Well, one, start prenatals. So if you're planning on having a baby, like start prenatals at least 3 months in advance. And I will link the prenatals all the supplements that I took in this video. But I took prenatals called Garden of Life, so that was a pretty good prenatal. Starting a exercise regimen, because exercise really helps, especially if you're high risk or you have like chronic conditions. Like myself, I have hypertension, so trying to exercise, even walking can help, just to keep my blood pressure down. So just make sure you have an exercise regimen. Try and eat healthy. I know, like, pregnant, you're eating for two, eat whatever you want. No, especially if you have a chronic condition like myself. You can't just eat whatever you want. Of course, you can have like a treat here and there. You can still have your ice cream, your cake, but just don't OD.
Eat the whole pint.
Exactly. So, like, if you're someone that has a chronic condition, just make sure you eat healthy and just don't OD on the salt and the sweets. Also, if you're fortunate, if you have people in your life that can, help you out around the house, like, right, like cooking, cleaning, like laundry. Obviously, I have my husband to help me. My mom, she helped me a lot. Make sure you have your hospital bag prepared, because I was pretty much, part of my French, assed out. Yeah, I was like, I got time, No, have your bag ready, because anything can happen. And I had to have an emergency C-section, and my bag was not prepared. So I had to tell my husband, like, all right, you need to pack this, you need to pack that. But have your bag prepared. I would say have your bag prepared at least 3 months in advance, because anything can happen. And so I would say that would be my recommendation. Eat healthy, exercise regimen. If you have people in your life to help you out around the house, and have your hospital bag ready to go.
Yep, that's all good advice. I'm taking my notes, guys. So my next question is, did you have any morning sickness?
Actually, I really didn't have any morning sickness or any crazy cravings like that. If I did have morning sickness, it would only last for like a couple of minutes, and then it would just go away. As far as like weird cravings, I didn't have any weird cravings. I mean, I did crave apple juice. I love tea. I would drink tea like 2-3 times a day, but then when I got pregnant, I just didn't want tea anymore, so I didn't drink tea throughout my pregnancy, which was weird.
I remember her saying that.
Yeah, I love tea, and I just didn't want tea. And candles, I could not stand the smell of candles. It was just too much for me. So, but that was pretty much it.
Okay, so we got amazing advice from Sparkle so far. My last question to her would be, looking back, like, is there anything you would do different to maybe make the experience even better?
I would say, well, like I said before about my tips is getting that hospital bag ready. That's one thing I would do differently. If I'm blessed to have another kid, I would definitely have that ready. Do more exercising, because with me, I'm not consistent. Like, 1 week I'm like in it, like I'm exercising, and then next week it's like, I don't feel like doing this. So I would probably be more consistent with my exercise regimen, and also again, just eating better, because my diet, it could be better. It can be better. So I would probably just, be consistent with my diet and exercise, so that I can probably try and not to go through that experience again with the preeclampsia. So I can just, you can do, control what you can. So just do what you can to have a healthy pregnancy, but things happen, but control what you can. So, but yeah, that was pretty much my pregnancy experience. It was an amazing, beautiful experience, and I just loved being pregnant. I know, like, a lot of women, their experience was, they didn't have a great experience, but for me, I just loved being pregnant, and I just can't wait to get pregnant again.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like she's going to do it again, guys.
But they say every pregnancy is different, right? So who knows? But I just pray that this pregnancy is as nice as my first one. But I just hope everything goes well in my second pregnancy. So, but
yes. So
so that's pretty much my story for this past year. Life-changing experience. So but yeah, so we'll get right into catching up with Rochelle and what she's been up to and what she's been going through this past year as well. So